Good morning, everyone. It's Kathy Champion at Random Acts of Crafting, and today I thought I would bring you something maybe a little different than what we've been doing. I had a subscriber that asked me if I could do a like a tiered pocket, I guess like a Happy Mail envelope, and I did a little research. There's not a lot out there about this, so I just kind of came up with my own design, and I figured out, and this is pretty much what I discovered. These pockets or these envelopes usually have a tab on them, but I cut with a circle punch. I cut this little half circle out so that you'd have a place to be able to stick stuff in. These are very easy to put together, and I did break down the measurements to make this easier so that they go from the largest to the smallest, and you can stack them like I did with these. And if you notice, they open up so you can still get quite a bit of stuff in there. So if you want to send Happy Mail in one of these, what a beautiful way to present. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I use this paper pack, and this is Recollections, which is a Michaels paper pack, and it was one of their hot buys. Usually when they have the hot buys, these are $19.99 regular priced paper packs or pads, and they usually are on sale for like $5. I don't remember what I paid for this one because I've had it for a while, but I'm going to pick out 3 papers. And I'm not going to pick out the ones that I used earlier. I want something different. So let's do this one. This one's pretty. And these do have a tear place on them, so I'm going to use that. So we have this one. I'm going to lay that up there. And I want something that I know will coordinate with that. Usually when you get a paper pack, they do kind of, well, that one's pretty. Let's do this one. And we're going to need 3 of these. So to make 3 envelopes, you're going to need 3 pieces of paper. I like this one. Let's go ahead and get this one out. This paper pack is just gorgeous, and I love the colors, the softness. I just think it's beautiful. So what we're going to do is I have worked on and kind of gotten the measurements where I need them to be. So let's go ahead and let's start with our largest one. And I think I want to make this my largest. And I think I want it to go in that direction. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get our ScoreBoard out for the 12 by 12. And that's the size for your largest envelope. So I'm going to lay this in my ScoreBoard, and it makes no difference because this is a square. It is 12 by 12, so it makes no difference which way. Other than if you are working with a stripe, you want to put your stripe in with your stripes going this way if that's the way you want your pocket. For example, this one I did not put in, I put it in like this. So this is the way your envelope is going to be. The length of your envelope is going to be this way, so if your pattern's going down, it's going to be that way. So if you want your pattern to go long ways, then you're going to want to turn it and let your pattern be going this way. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I am back. I do apologize for the interruption, but I had a phone call to come in. Anyway, this is where we were at with this piece of paper, and we were going to go ahead and score this in where it needs to be scored. I'm going to turn it over because it'll be much easier for y'all to see the score lines on the white side than it will be on the pattern side. So I am going to grab, and I think I'm going to use this score tool for this. I really like using my bone folder though, the Teflon bone. Let's try it with this. I think this bone folder here gives me really nice creases, and I do love the way it scores. So, and I don't want to tear the paper. Our first score line is going to be at a 1/2 inch, and we're going to score that 1/2 inch all the way down. Oh yeah, this does work good. And I'm going to go over it twice because you really want these score lines really well. Now the next score line is going to be at 10.5. Now this is only if you want a pocket, a flap on your pocket. I'm not doing flaps because like I showed you, I'm going to cut these edges out so that you can get down into the pocket. And as you can see, you have lots of room in these pockets to get stuff in there. And that's due to gluing it in the center and not flat. When you put these together, you do not want to flatten them out and glue them flat, because if you do, you will not have this gusset to be able to open up your pockets like this. And I think this is what we all want, so we can stack them nice and full when we send out our Happy Mail. So I'm not going to score this 10.5. Now normally if you wanted an envelope with that little gusset there, you could do that, but we're not. We're going to do this at 12. We're going to do there, then we're going to turn 1/4 of an inch on the 1/4 inch side, turn that down to the bottom. Now these folds are score lines are very important because this is what makes your pocket. So we're going to score it at 3 inches all the way to the bottom. And I'm going to go back over that one more time at 3. And then we're going to do the next one at 8.5. So 8.5. And that's it. That's all the scoring we need to do. And let's see if it's showing up. Yeah, our score lines are showing up pretty good back there. So now we got to do a little bit of trimming, not much. This is so simple, and I am just going to use my Tim Holtz, my long scissors, and I'm going to also pull out my cutter bees because we do have to do an angle cut. I am going to turn this, and this is where my little score lines are right here, and you got that 1/4 inch. So all you want to do is put your scissors right here and cut up to that first score line. Just like that. Turn it around and do the same thing on this side. Just cut up to that first score line. And now take your little cutter bees, and we are going to cut at an angle on this flap right here, right to that point. And that's going to cut that right out. And if you leave a little splinter on it, you can just trim that off, just like so. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to cut that right to that point. That one cut out perfect. Now we're ready to make our pocket. And I'm going to show you just how easy this little pocket envelope is. We are going to crease this down. I am going to use my bone folder because we want nice crisp lines. We're going to turn it over on this side and do the same thing. Fold it on that score line. And crease it down, and then we're going to fold this up, and we're going to score that, varnish that down really good. And now we pretty much have this envelope. Look how nice and big that is. That is a 11.5 inch envelope. You can get all kinds of goodies down inside of here. But now we do need to adhere our edges together. So what I'm going to do, you can use sticky tape or you can use glue. I'm just going to use some art glitter glue. And the reason for that is I just want something that's going to hold it. Now you see how far over you need to go. So I'm going to put probably about this much glue because I want that to lap over and make sure that it adheres all the way down. I'm going to run it down this edge really good across that top really well. Now all I'm going to do is holding it nice and even, I'm going to glue that down just like so. Now I'm going to take my bone folder because I just want to make sure that glue swishes down in there really well and glues that envelope. Now I am going to run my hand inside to make sure that if we had any oozing of the glue that it doesn't stick our envelope together. That is important because sometimes you will have that. but I did not feel any glue on my hands, so that's good. So now I'm just going to do the same thing here. I'm going to run some art glitter glue on this tab that will close up the bottom of our envelope. And again, I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure that that gets adhered really well. And now we are ready to cut our little piece out of the top. But before we go to the die cut machine, because I want to be able to cut them all at one time, we're going to go ahead and score our other two envelopes, and then we'll put those together. So let's go back to our scoreboard. And I think my next, well, this one we're going to have to cut first, because this next envelope, which is our medium-sized envelope, needs to be at 10 by 8.5. So I am going to cut it 10. So just taking that 2-inch strip off, and then we're going to lay it this way and do it at 8.5. And don't worry about getting the measurements. I'll make sure that all of my measurements are in the description. So now this envelope is ready for us to put in the scoreboard. Now this one, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and cut the small one, then we'll come back to the next one. The small one needs to be 6.5 by 8. So I'm going to use this paper for it, and I would love for the flowers or these butterflies to be on it, since it's going to be our front focal point. So let's see, it needs to be 6.5, so let's do 6.5 this way. That's good, because what that's going to allow us to do is leave this piece here, and we can use that for another project. So 6.5. Just kind of pay attention to which way your envelope's going to go. And now we're going to cut it off this way at 8 inches. Okay, we are back, and I do apologize for the interruption. I have had so many phone calls this morning. But anyway, we are going to trim this. We trimmed it at 6.5, so we're going to go to 8 inches, and we're going to trim it at 8. So that will give us our last pocket. And I'm hoping that we can figure out how to get this here. I would love for that to be on the front. Yeah, we will work it. Even if we have to piece it a little bit, we're going to make that work so we can do the front. So what we need to do now is to go ahead and score these. And this one will be scored like that, and this one like that. So let me get my scoreboard back up. And I'm going to put the medium-sized one in, and I am going to turn it again this way. And we are going to score it at 3 and 7.5. So 3 and 7.5. And then we're going to turn it, and we're going to do that 1/2 inch at the bottom for our little flap. So this one is done, so all we have to do now is put that one together. Now the small one, we are going to score it at, let's see, this is going to be the bottom, so we're going to score it at the 1/2. And then we're going to turn it. Okay, after so many interruptions today, and I do apologize once again, I have received so many phone calls and what have you, but what I am trying to do now is figure out so that this can be my front. So I think what we're going to do is we scored on this line, and I want this to be the front. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to have to seam it on the inside. So I think I'm going to bring it over to about here, and let's do a 1/2 inch there. I just really would love for that to be my focal point. So let's just do a 1/2 inch on this side and see if we can make that work. And again, this is not traditionally how I would do this. I would score them all accordingly so that my fold would be in the same place in the back. But because I'm trying to get this, and in my instructions I'll give you the regular measurements for how to do this. So I hope that will help, because if you're just using pattern paper that doesn't have anything on it like this, I'm sure that that will help quite a bit. And this way, this is going to be a little bit different than what we did the other two, but it's okay. The only reason I'm folding it like this is just to get those butterflies on the front. Alright, and again, I am going to cut this one little square out right here, and I'm just going to use my cutter beads for that. I'm going to move this other stuff out of my way. I'm working on a couple of projects at the same time because I'm always trying to think ahead in what I'm going to bring to my channel, and so it's an ongoing process, to say the least. So let's see, by doing that, and then if we score this at 3.5, I think at 3.5 this will get us where we need to be. So let's try that and see how it... There we go, right about there. We are going to need to cut this. Again, this is going to be a lot different than what it would have been otherwise, but that's okay. We can make this work. Now this piece is going to be cut away totally. I am going to use my longer scissors to snip this away. And all I'm doing now is I'm just creating that flap on the back. And again, I'm going to angle this. Just like so. And now, I think we're going to have to come over just a little bit more than 3.5, maybe 3 7/8. I'm going to try this before I actually snip any more off of it. So I think what we needed was just a little bit more here. So I'm just going to meet that up and see if I can get the score mark to come down right there. Because this is what I want. I want it to look like this. And then this will fold up. This would actually be the back normally. But because I so wanted those butterflies, I am going to make this work. And this is going to be beautiful. We're going to cut a very small area out right there. And let's see. Again, I'm going to angle that off right there so that it will fold up beautifully. And we are going to put some glue right here. Looks like I got a little bit of glue on my scoreboard, so I want to get that off before it settles into that crack. And now I'm just going to bend this over, seal it down. I am checking to make sure I don't have ink on the inside. Not ink, I'm sorry, glue. Oh, it's been such a fumbled day today, and it has just been a difficult time trying to get my video up. But hey, it happens like that sometimes. And I really keep saying I need to put my phone on airplane mode or Do Not Disturb. I have a Samsung Galaxy, and it does have the ability to put it on Do Not Disturb, which I really need to try to practice doing that. Now, I don't like the fact that that seam is there, but you know what? This is going to be on the front, and when I get ready to decorate this, nobody's going to know that this seam was ever there, because I'm going to decorate it in such a way that that is not going to show. So let's go ahead now and do this one. And we've already got our seams, our score lines in, so I'm just going to fold it down to the score line, like so. I'm just going to crease it with my fingers at first, and we'll go back and we will crease it better with the bone folder once we get everything lined up. I think these colors are going to be beautiful together. They're different, but yet everything kind of goes together, and I do like that. So let's go ahead, before we go any further, let's go ahead and cut out our side pieces. And then we're going to go ahead and cut out this side piece. I'm going to pull my cord over and plug my camera up just so we don't go dead in the middle of this. If you will just bear with my shaking for a moment. Okay, now I can I can rest assured that we are not going to go dead. Make sure I got us back in frame straight. That looks good. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, as we have been doing all along, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to angle up there. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, and I'm going to angle up here. And then we're going to put some glue on this envelope once we get it burnished down. I did add another small light to a little overhead light, and I'm hoping that that's going to cut down on some of the shadowing that I was having. We are still working on getting our lights completely straight, so just bear with us. We will get all of the kinks worked out little by little. And here we go. Again, I'm going to burnish this down really well. I want that ink and that glue to really push out and cover the area that I intended it for. Now I'm just going to press that down so that it has a good fold once I put the glue on it. Again, I'm getting around the edges really well and up like that. So now all we need to do is put our die cuts, get our little circles, and these envelopes are going to live on top of here just like this. Now you can offset them. You could put them over to the side. You could put one way and one the other. You could put one up and one down, like that. There are just so many ways that you can adhere these pockets down and still give a great place to be able to send Happy Mail. I love the way these came together, and I love the way they're going to look when we decorate them. I think they're going to be gorgeous. And another thing, you do not have to use matching paper. You could blindly go in and pull paper out of a stack and put it together just to see what you have, and it would be so cute. But I am going to get my my dies, and I'm trying to decide if I want to do decorative or if I want to do scallops or just plain circles. I think with this one I'm just going to use these classic scallops, and I think for the small one I'm going to use the little one. I'm going to bring these all out so you can see exactly what's in the set, and there we go. There's our little nestable. And I think the small one is going to be perfect right here because I don't want to take too much of that butterfly off. Yeah, that's going to be cute. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little piece of tape on here to hold this. So that'll be that one. I'm going to come up one more for this one. And I think right about there, that would be gorgeous. And I'll stick that down. And now this last one, I am going to go up just one up past the next one up. And I'm going to put that one right there. And there we go. Now those are ready to go to the die cut machine. And hold tight and I will be right back. Alrighty, I am back, and let me turn this light back on because I do think this light helps quite a bit. Maybe a little bit. But anyway, this is my Big Shot, and this is the reason I always use my Cricut, because this is the Big Shot Plus. As you can see, I can put both of my hands through it. It has a very wide footprint. I do love it. And I have been using it lately because of the fact that my plates on my Cricut or Cuttlebug have gotten so bad that they just aren't working anymore. So I've been using this and I have really loved it. I did see a tutorial from Sussex, I believe. It was a lady from the company that was telling us how to not let our cutting pads become warped. So maybe if I can get some new ones for my Cuttlebug, I can try that same technique on those, and I won't have the problem that I had with this. I hope not, because it has been horrible. The Cuttlebug, the plates have just been really bad with me trying to get my cuts done, and they're so warped and just really in disarray. Alright, here is our first cut, and that turned out beautiful. I think I like the little scalloped edge. It makes it very pretty. So we're going to go ahead and keep cutting, and I'm going to turn that over, and then I'm going to put the next one in. This is our mid-size one, and I am using a magnetic plate, so that is helping to hold this on, which is wonderful. Let's see, that doesn't look quite even. Nope, that's a little bit better. Let's take the tape off. I don't think I need the tape with the magnetic. Let's see. Okay, that looks about right, as long as I don't twist it. I'm going to sit that over it. No, it's still not quite right. It is important to try to get these as even as you can. And if you want to measure, you know, you could certainly measure and then tape. But I'm just going to, I'm eyeballing it. And let me put my plate back over. And I'm going to crank this one through. If you notice, this Big Shot really does crank a lot easier than the Cuttlebug. I'm not making any effort at all to push this through. I am going to push it through one more time because it is cutting through the double layers of paper. So I just want to make sure that we get it cut all the way through, and we did. And again, that's beautiful. And we have those. And now we have the tiniest one, and I am going to lay this on here. And remember, this one is a little bit different because here's our seam. I don't want to get any more of that butterfly wing than I have to, so I'm being very cautious just to get it right about there. But I do want to make sure I got about the same amount on each side, which that looks just about right. Let's see. I think that's good right there. And that will only take off that little tiny edge of that pocket. Let's see. And it did. That is super cute. And I love it. And like I said, look at the space you've got in those pockets. They are just wonderful. And I'm also going to show you the deciding factor of making these work really, really well for you. And that is adhering them down in the middle. I think we've done all of our die cutting, so we can move the big shot, and it is definitely a big, and see, we are getting the glare off of that light. I was afraid of that on this glass mat. But I do like my glass mat because it helps keep me in frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some stuff here on it. There's our 3 pockets. Now, like I said, you have to decide where you want these pockets to live. And I think I'm going to do the very traditional way. Like I said, you could put one over here and one down here. I don't know, I kind of like that too. But whatever you do, you only want to put your adhesive in the middle of that pocket. So let me explain what I'm talking about. I'm using this 3/4 inch double-sided tape. And what I am going to do is I am going to use this edge right here to kind of line me up so that I can stay pretty much in the middle. So I am going to come up to the top almost as far as I can, and I'm going to bring my tape where it's just a little piece off so that I can get up here right about there. I'm just letting about 1/8 of an inch from the top of that pocket, and I'm going to bring that down to the bottom. We got a little bit of a bubble in it, but that's okay. And then I'm going to use my little stamp block to tear this off, like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And let's turn it this way. And I'm going to start right here just like I did with the other one. I'm going to put that tape right down the middle, because this is the only place you want this to stick, is right down the middle. Now, we do not have to put anything on that one, so we only have to put it on the small and the medium, because everything is going to be stuck to this one. So I am going to burnish my tape down so to make sure I've got a good adhesion to the back of this pocket. And then I am going to grab one of my little picky tools, whichever one I could grab, and I'm going to peel that off. Now I need to decide exactly where I want this to live. And I think for this one I want it to come down about to here and about there. So when you get it where you want it, just go ahead and stick it down and just rub it in the middle. And this is what this allows it to do. By sticking them only in the middle, it allows that pocket to really open up. Not only is that good for the person that's going to be sending this out with Happy Mail, it's also good for the person that gets it, because then they can get the stuff out of it. They can actually look down in the pocket and see exactly what is in there, which is always fun. Alright, so there is our last one, and we're doing the same thing. I burnished it down really good to make sure that that sticky tape right there adhered. Now we're going to bring this back over, and I'm going to look at this and decide exactly where I want this one to live. And I think I want it to be about here. Now what I think I'm going to do, because I know this video has run on quite long, I think we're going to stop right here. Tomorrow I will come back, or maybe even later tonight, I'll film part 2 of this. And in part 2 we're going to embellish it. I might even trim a little bit of this off here. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that this could easily come down to about here to make the envelope a little less bulky. I don't think that needs to be there. So I may cut a little bit of that off. We don't have that much on these two, and I think with that one we could take a little off. But we're going to decorate these in our next video, and we're going to do some really fun and pretty things. And remember, I told you we're not going to see the seam. We're not going to see the seam down here because I've got some ideas for some beautiful embellishments that's going to cover all of that up. And I think it's going to be a gorgeous piece once we get it done. And again, like I said, you can use your pretty paper. How spectacular would it be to get Happy Mail in something like this? All packed full of different embellishments and everything, sent to one of your crafty friends. I love it. So thanks again so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. I love you all, and I feel like y'all are my family now. Especially the ones that leave me comments on every video. I have certain people that will comment on every video and give me such encouragement and positive feedback, and I thank you so much for that. From the bottom of my heart, I'm sending you all the love that I possibly can, from my crafty room to yours, and I hope that you will let your light shine in a way that others can see Christ through you. So be a blessing to someone today. Tell them you love them. Be encouraging. And as always, let everything that you do and say bring glory to Him, because He is so worthy. Thank you again for tuning in, and watch out for part 2 of this video because it's going to be so much fun. Until I see y'all again, happy crafting. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, I'm back, and I just wanted to let you know that I did finish the envelope, decorating it, and I kept it pretty simple because this paper was so pretty, and the fact that we had these butterflies on that front envelope. All I did was I cut a strip, and I cut around where the butterfly was and glued it down. I used some little gems to make the body of the butterfly. I topped off the top right here with the blue gems. And then on this one, I found this heart paper clip, and all I done was clipped it onto this one. And please excuse my dogs, they are whining as usual. This little heart paper clip worked perfect right there. I put 2 big gemstones right here, and I did a decorative piece of paper that I ink drugged to match the green and the gold in here. And that's all I did to this, and I think that this is quite enough on this envelope. I think anybody that would receive this with Happy Mail would be very happy. So that pretty much concludes this video with this envelope. And I was going to do this in a decorating video, but once I realized that it was only going to take me a matter of seconds, this was just very straightforward decorating. So I did this probably in about 5 minutes. And as I was laying the items out, I thought I'll just go ahead and do it and then show you after it's over. This strip I already had pre-punched, and all I done was did the ink dragging on it, or the embossing, and then I glued it on. And the same with these. This was actually a branding strip off of a paper pack, and I used it, and it's just a wood grain. So just leave a comment and let me know what you think of this Happy Mail envelope. And that's what I'm going to call this. I'm going to call it a 3-tier or a 3-pocket Happy Mail envelope. So if you like this and you decide to make one, please go over to our Facebook group at Random Acts of Crafting by Kathy Champion. Leave me your pictures and let me know, let me see what you're doing. And thanks again so much for joining me for this tutorial. I hope to bring you more videos soon. My dogs are playing because my husband just got home from work and it's their playtime, so I do apologize for the noise. But anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, and y'all have a blessed day. Thanks again. Bye bye.